Hello, 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 hello. Um, and this, to tell you the truth, I'm very worried about what's going on in the world. And I'm not speaking about Trump because I'm one of the few, not very few, but here in Europe, we believe what they tell us, and the mass media, and I really think we live in the new Soviet Union, or the politically correct. The new mantra is liberalism. European Union. Everybody who's against the European Union is like when everybody was against the Soviet Union. I know better, and I know that Trump is just. It's not all gold that glitters, but it's a step forward. This globalization. Uh, I mean, it has some flaws. Waterboarding, I've been thinking a lot about that, and theoretically, it's wrong. And the problem is, it should be used only as a last resort. And the problem when you allow to be used is going to be used and not as a last resort. That means is I know for sure, that somebody knows about an attack where a lot of civilians are going to be killed, and I'm sure 100% that's a moral dilemma, but that would be somehow for using extreme measures. The same goes if somebody is going to kill people, you're going to shoot it down before he does it. And knowing where something's going to happen, if you used to let the authorities know the whereabouts and the when of something, you're an accessory, and it's an extreme thing. So I would say I'm not against 100%. 100%. I'm against 99% of the times. So it should be. It's like death penalty. It's I'm against death penalty because it doesn't work anyway. But in this case, uh, it's very difficult. But the idea that he spoke overtly about this, and I'm looking into it, he shouldn't have said that. Not at this moment, and I would say only in extreme cases with the permission of a judge and in the open. It means you should be sure 99% you be that not a suspect, that somebody knows that something, it's near certainty that you would save many lives. So these are extreme cases. So I would say not even in war you shouldn't resort to torture, because in war, you know, only in cases where there is an attack on civilians and you're nearly sure that. But even in this case, I'm not sure that is the way to go. I have my doubts, but I can think about it. I don't dismiss out of hand. It's easier. It's easy to to be on a moral high ground when you're not involved. Your relatives are not involved. Somebody you love is not involved. But believe you me, if you had some kin and you know that some terrorists know where she is, they're going to kill her or to kill him, you would have less doubts about using waterboarding. That's a kind of torture without leaving physical um, wounds, but leaves very, very deep. It's a very unpleasant thing. So torture can be, it's a form of torture. Torture is deprivation of sleep. Torture is a lot high volume, something loud for hours. There are many forms of torture, not really, you know, physically warping limbs or cutting through your body. There are other forms, and waterboarding is a form of torture. Having said that, the situation is quite, it's difficult to find who's right, who's wrong. I mean, let's speak out. I'm all for independence of Russia. Putin made Russia an independent state. Is he a dictator? No. I don't think he's a real 100%. Is he authoritarian? Yes. But I don't know what if even in America do they resort to political. I mean, do we really know what CIA does? If there are secret operations where civilians are killed, we don't know. And I would say that uh, Putin is really. I mean, surely is not a completely peaceful person, but in the great picture, he's the one that does the interests of his own people, and in some cases it's difficult to straighten things out without resorting to some bad uh, manners, so to speak. Having said that, the demonization on Trump is bad because they say some people think it's like Hitler. It's not. It's really not. As far as I know, he said some bad things. Speaking about Muslim, I know that people can take that same. I mean, sometimes you see what you want to see. The same thing can be interpreted in two ways. And as far as I know, I haven't seen clear-cut signs that he's doing to do something really bad. I mean, but is the concept is we have nations. As long as we have nation, people who don't have the citizenship don't have the same right of people who have in another country. They have more rights in their own country. So if we have a nation, you have a nation, you need to have borders. Otherwise, you wouldn't have a nation. You need to have something that unites people. That is the border, the language, and the culture. In past times it was the race, and partially it is. If you go to Africa, you think that into Nigeria, you think the Nigerians are black. But if it applies to black people, it's not considered racism. If you apply that to white people, it's considered to be a racist, and that's not fair. Having said that, if you let so many people, mainly from the same foreign country, live in your country is going to become the other country. And at a certain point, these people will change either the nature of your country or will demand part of your country to be, what is the right word in English? I can't find the right word. Uh, to be part of their own country. We saw what happened in Kosovo. So, do you want, I'm not American, part of the United States uh, annexed, to be annexed, to be again part of Mexico? Because if the majority of those people are Mexicans, theoretically, they have the right to say, to have secession from the United States and go back to Mexico. That's what happened in Crimea. And and it's called the right of self-determination. So if you don't want this right to be applied, you should keep a tight watch on what's going on in your country. I know some people say that's right wing, whatever. I don't care. It's the way things go. Always, uh, in the history of humanity, we have tendency towards the center and off the center. We have empire breakdown, because the tendency is to have one identity, one language, and people cherish their freedom more even than peace. That's why people fight for their freedom. That happened in Greece when they got rid of the Turks, and it's always going on. It's going on in Europe. People cannot stand together behind Germany. History repeats itself in a softer way, in a more cunning way. Because now many people don't know they are achieving economically what they didn't succeed to achieve militarily through a war. That's the situation. So you have England that was at loggerheads with Russia because it followed the American, American politics, and now is becoming friends with the United States, who try to become friends again with Russians, and it wasn't the Russians who started this new Cold War. It was the American who didn't leave alone Russia, and they want to get go the whole hog, to win, to annex, so to speak, into their Western world states that were supposed to be neutral because they were near Russia. They thought that Russia was defeated. They couldn't strike back. Then came Putin and he changed things. And I appreciate that he fought for his country economically And strategically, now Russia is not the puppet state that it was when there was under Yeltsin. That is the big crime. That's why they hate Russia. These globalists. I know I'm using this word used by Alex Jones, but I believe they want a blob of people who know identity, the same language, English. I'm speaking English, but I'm for national languages and identities. And so nobody, no nation can change things. It's like the Vienna Congress in the Restoration after Napoleon. They always fail. It can take centuries, it can take decades, and then strike back. Is the elite of rich people that now work behind the scenes, and the masses, they are brainwashed by fake identity. People play with their cellular phone. It's a new drug. It's an electronic drug. People don't use this to get informed. They use this as a form of tranquilizer. Okay? They don't smoke cigarettes. They are constantly connected. And what do? Facebook, solitaires, games, stupid movies. They don't watch. They don't get informed about the real important things on YouTube, on a website, and I try to censor YouTube. Fake news is the real fake news. They are not fake. They've always been there. Real fake news are other things. They try to silence different opinions. It's like in the Soviet Union. They're doing what they're doing in China. They're deleting websites. They are deleting accounts on YouTube. They try to strike back because they know that information is a kind of war. That's why there is a YouTube channel called InfoWars. They could very easily try to have their counter information. That's the game. No. Why don't they do their own InfoWars? Because they tried and they lost. All the mass media are not believable. And now they cannot confute other options, other views, because basically they are not in good faith. So the situation is a real mess. First thing is, the good thing is we skipped by hair a war with Russia. I want to say we, Europe. But it's just one battle we won. I don't know. I'm not all for Trump. I don't demonize, but on the other side is a person, is a man. They have many ways, psychological ways, and other ways to make him do what they want him to do. So if he really push forward with this, with his program, I say either they use the card of people on the streets and they try to do in America what they do in Ukraine, or they try to poison him, he will get sick, and will replace him. The vice president, I don't know, they have something in their mind. I hope they don't succeed, okay? Because sometimes they don't succeed. They try to kill Saddam Hussein, and they too have to they had to wage war because he managed not to be killed. And I'm not speaking in favor of Saddam Hussein, but actually he didn't have those weapons of mass destruction. So what about the fake news about this? Shall we speak about September the 11th? It's not a conspiracy theory. It's scientific that all these things don't hold water. The airplane in the Pentagon, the building who went down, it wasn't even hit. The two buildings who went down were not supposed to go down. So I changed my way of thinking, watching this news, this alternative sources of information that make me understand that they were pulling wool over my eyes. And now I see the reality. I'm not sure 100%, but I can really understand why they hate Russia, why they want to uh, bring down Syria, and it's a geopolitics. Common people really believe that Putin is a dictator, America is democracy, and Trump is a Nazi, whatever. You know, to I never heard him saying that Mexicans, generally speaking, are bad. I know what I live in reality. I know what kind of people come here. I tell you, in Italy, to Italy, from some countries, they're not. They are not. It's a problem. It's a real problem. It's not because I was a racist. Maybe we Italians were a problem when we went to America, because a lot of people were of the underworld. Some people were mafia. Some people didn't created problems. Okay, sometimes they don't. People who leave are not the best. Okay, sometimes you leave because the police is looking for you. You know, and you have this feeling that these rich people, this rich nation, owes you something, so you resort sometimes more to illegal means to get money. It's easier in a foreign country than in your own country to do these things. You don't have people who know you. You feel entitled to do this. You have some a chip on your shoulder towards this country. You feel like you'll be wronged because you were born on the wrong side of the track or the border. There's many things, but it's a reality that you cannot let in people who you don't know who they are. Okay? You have to check their background. I would say that the same thing we should do for Americans who come here. You know why? Because if America has open borders, the simple fact of being American or coming from America doesn't mean anything. If you give citizenship to people without a real background checking of these people, it's a big problem. Anyway, That's a lot of food for thought. Goodbye.